How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final
Well, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is I feel better than I did yesterday. I'll tell you that. The bad news is that I don't have beer. I don't have beer. I could have gotten beer. I was outside doing errands. I don't know. I don't feel like drinking today. Normally I drink on Fridays. It's happy hour and, we have a couple drinks and we enjoy ourselves. But I just don't feel like drinking today. All right. I just don't feel like it. But I do feel better than I did yesterday. That's for sure. And it's funny. It's a funny thing, isn't it? That sometimes talking about something is like all you really need to do to make it go away. And, hey, I'm not going to say that's not an option. It, of course, I would never do that on the internet. What are you talking about? But it is true. And I think it's one of those things where sometimes you keep stuff bottled up inside for so long. And then the minute you talk about it, you release it and then you can go on with your life and you can do other things. And, I'm not going to lie and say like what I do isn't difficult because it is fucking difficult. It's so, and a lot of the difficulty is just so unnecessary. And it continues to boggle my mind being on the internet. Yeah, I've said this before. Maybe people have heard it. Maybe they haven't. I come from the real world. I never wanted to be on the internet. This was not something I planned to do. I had a real professional job. I was around professional people all the time. I was in corporate environments. I was in professional coaching environments. They are so completely different to what I have to deal with now. And it's like, man, it's like I didn't appreciate what they were at the time. I didn't appreciate them because corporate environments are dumb too. And trust me, professional coaching environments are real dumb. You're going to meet the but they're also, they have their benefits in that people, there are certain group norms in these instances. And I got very, very used to being around people who behaved like adults. At least when I was around them. And maybe they became unhinged hooligans another time. Maybe they all had anonymous Twitter accounts where they were all unhinged hooligans online. I don't know, man. But I know the dealings that I had were calm and pleasant. And I got to actually have real conversations with real people. And I don't get to do that anymore. And it's hard and it sucks because one of the things I'm certainly starving for now, more than almost anything, is just real fucking people. Not influencers, not content creators. Like, if I never have to interact with another influencer or another content creator again, I will honestly be perfectly happy with that. I know that people want me to get my content out there more. I really, really do. I get it. But just like the idea of having to interact with these people, I really don't want to. In ways I cannot explain. I just don't want to. Like, I'm just like, I was thinking about it because, you know, people were saying yesterday with these Epstein binder people, they were like, you know, everyone that was complaining about it, they were saying, oh, you're just jealous that you didn't get to go to the White House and get an Epstein binder, and that's why you're complaining about this, because you were jealous. And I'm like, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, would I actually have gone to the like, if I was invited to that, would I have actually gone? And I was kind of sitting here going, no, I don't think I would have. I really don't think I would have. Like, that's how committed I am to not being around these people. Like the idea of a social media summit with social media influencers at the White House is that is like a nightmare scenario. First of all, I don't like being on video. I don't like having my picture taken. I don't like being around any of these people. I think they're all fake. Okay, going to the White House would be pretty cool. That's like the only thing. That's probably the only thing to be like, yeah, that would actually be kind of cool. But like literally every other aspect of that scenario, I'm like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this at all. Not at all. Not in any way. And so I actually truly don't know. Now, you know, of course, I've been following Laura Loomer going completely scorched earth on these people. And it's hilarious, man. And I have to give Loomer credit. And I think that Loomer was a little bit pissed off that she wasn't invited. But quite frankly, she should have been. Laura Loomer has been so loyal to Donald Trump. I mean, it's just a shame. It's like, there's been no one that's been more loyal to Donald Trump, and you couldn't extend her an invite to the social media summit? I mean, come on, man. Naruto, I saw the stream yesterday. It was extremely short, followed by talking. Yeah, it was. We're not going backwards. Naruto, we're going forwards. Why isn't the chat going? There it is. Okay. But I love seeing Laura Loomer go scorched earth on these people. And it's just like, it's everything. And I kind of look at her, and I know Laura Loomer has her own motives. Okay, whatever. She is not an innocent princess in this equation either. But I at least feel like it's coming from a little bit more of a genuine, authentic place. And that's why she doesn't have a place there. That's why Laura Loomer wasn't invited to the social media summit. It's not because Laura Loomer's crazy. It's not because of that. Because every single time conservatives say, someone is crazy, what they really mean is, I can't control that person. That person says things that make me have feelings. That person says things I don't want to hear. That's actually what they're saying. That's why they call Laura Loomer crazy. Is she actually crazy? Well, she's crazied her way into monumental success then. I don't know many actually crazy people that could be as successful as Laura Loomer is. So saying, like, she's mentally ill, like, okay, come on. Like, can we be realistic? She's a phenomenally successful woman. There is a method to her madness. You might not agree with it, but there's a method to her madness. She's not crazy. So why do they all say that? Because Laura Loomer refuses to follow the approved talking points. They know they cannot control Laura Loomer. That's why they call her crazy. And so, yeah, I can completely understand why she might be a little bit miffed that she wasn't invited to this social media summit thing. She has a huge account. She's hugely supportive of Trump. It would have been great coverage. If there was anyone that was going to pull off a successful PR stunt, it would have been Laura Loomer. Like, why aren't they removing their heads from their asses and acknowledging that? I can completely understand her consternation. I also legitimately think she's just pissed off at the way it was handled. And isn't everyone else? Like, one in the chat if you're pissed off at how that Epstein thing was handled. And to be quite honest, I don't actually even really care about the Epstein stuff all that much. Found it interesting, but I actually don't really care about it all that much. And even I was like, what the fuck, Pam Bondi? Why did you go on Fox News and lie to us? Pam Bondi was on Fox News the night before saying, I have all this stuff on my desk and you're not going to believe it. And it's like, no, you didn't, Pam. You lied. No, that's not what happened, Pam. That's not what happened. They should have just been honest. Rip Gene Hackman, his wife, and his dog. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't even know what to think about that. So Laura Loomer is all pissed off, and all the social media influencers that were involved are getting dragged. And to be honest, I don't feel sorry for any of them except Scott Pressler. Scott Pressler, who I adore. Savannah Hernandez, I actually think is pretty good. I think Liz Wheeler's okay. I think that, you know, obviously they like... I have more problems with some of them than I do with others. I want Libs of TikTok to be getting dragged far more than she is, because that woman is such a fucking fame whore, and she is so low IQ, it's not even funny. If you can't tell today, guys, we're doing a drama stream. We're doing a drama stream today. Why? Because I feel like it. Because, you know what? It's Friday. I've had a long week of writing and editing a book that is still not done, because one chapter is really giving me trouble and I need to learn a lot of stuff in order to write it, and I'm not happy about it. And so we're going to have a fun stream today, and we're going to do something that I want to do, which is drama. And if you don't like that, that's fine. You don't have to be here. And I might talk about other things too. I don't know. Who knows where this stream will go. I just want to have fun on the fucking internet. It's the internet. I'm allowed to have fun every once in a while too. All right. So if you have questions about anything that you might like to know, you know, I might be in a sharing mood right now. I might answer really any questions that I find entertaining to answer. So you let me know in the chat. Let's talk about Billboard Chris. Let's talk about Billboard Chris. Now, listen, normally I don't actually care about Billboard Chris. I've never actually really cared about Billboard Chris. But Billboard Chris hates me. He hates me. I have literally never even spoken to this person. I have never spoken to Billboard Chris. Have I ever had a threesome? No. No, I never have. Never have had that particular experience. Can't say. I mean, and listen. I'm not saying that it's not appealing. I just haven't. I have not had the opportunity to have that particular experience. Anyway, so Billboard Chris has hated me for years and years and years, and it's always, you know, you guys know how. Do you guys know how? No, you're not. You're not seeing my tits. All right, relax. You guys know how I always know who the paid shills are? Like, either months or years before everyone else, where, like, the new influencer of the day will come out, and I'll be like, and I might go along with it for, like, a month or two, and then I'll come out and be like, that person's a paid shill, that person's fake, that person's a grifter for reasons X, Y, B, and Z. Let me tell you all the ways in which that person is corrupt. Do you guys know how I do this? Over and over and over and over and over again. And then everyone's like, Carla, no, what are you talking about? That person is great. Why are you infighting, Carlin? Why are you causing drama? Why are you telling us things that we don't want to hear about our favorite influencers? And I go, wait, just wait. You're going to see it. Just wait. This is not what it seems. How I'm able to do that is, I cannot tell you guys how many times one of these people has come out of the woodwork, and without me ever interacting with these people, without me ever not even interacting with, but not even saying anything about them, sometimes not even knowing who the fuck they are. But these people will know me. And these people will be talking shit about me, and then I hear about it through the grapevine, because there is a back channel grapevine, and everyone knows everything, and everyone talks. You might not always hear about it, but everyone knows everything. So what happened with Billboard Chris is that in 2022, when I was publishing a book. I was building a platform to help people fight back against like the leftist nonsense. I was running trainings about that. I was creating content about that. I was literally just trying to mind my own business and not be involved with anything. I get a DM one day from a friend of mine. Carlin, I saw Billboard Chris at an event, and he did this big long diatribe about you being insane. And I'm like, this is back in 2022. And I had heard about Billboard Chris. I knew he was a guy that stood on a sidewalk with a billboard. Never spoken to him. Never had said anything about him. And I'm getting fucking calls and text messages from more than one person that Billboard Chris is running around talking shit about me and telling everyone that I'm insane. Now, the first time I ignored it because I, quite frankly, don't really care. The second time I was like, okay, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? So I sent Billboard Chris the only communication that I have ever had with him. And you can see the date on this. I took a screenshot out of my DMs. October 10th, 2022. Hi. Heard you think I'm crazy. I'm really not. But sadly, you know people who have had it out for me for a long time. Anyway, you do good work. I have nothing but respect for what you're doing. That wasn't true. I didn't really care what he was doing, but I was trying to be nice. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I would appreciate you not telling people I'm crazy since we've never had a conversation. And predictably, because this is what they do, Billboard Chris blocked me because of that message. And that's when I started telling people, I was like, you watch out for this guy. What is this guy doing? This guy is a Canadian. First of all, this guy is Canadian. He is Canadian. He is not an American. So why is he running around being an American activist? And why is he like randomly talking shit about me behind my back when I've never even spoken to this person? And if he's talking shit about me, how many other people is he doing this to? And why is he doing it? What is his interest in doing it? And so I started raising questions about this guy, and some people listened and some people didn't. It wasn't like a campaign or anything like that. I honestly didn't really care that much. I just knew, I was like, this guy is not what he says he is, and I don't trust him, and I don't trust anyone that works for him. And wouldn't you know it, around the same time, I started hearing that Billboard Chris was getting a lot of his funding from the Daily Wire. I don't know how true that is. But he seemed to be very, 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 very close with Matt Walsh, wasn't he? So where was the money coming from? Because so far as I could tell, Billboard Chris was just like literally traveling around the country, standing on sidewalks with a billboard. Like, I promise you, there's not a lot of money in that. So where was it coming from? Well, he seemed to be very, very cozy with the Daily Wire and very, very cozy with Matt Walsh. And I was just like, oh, that is all the evidence I need to just stay the fuck over here and he can stay the fuck over there and I don't really care. Now, I don't ever even talk about Billboard Chris because I don't even understand what this guy does. I truly don't. I do not understand what this guy does. I think he goes and tries to provoke leftists into attacking him so he can get them on video, so he can get clout on social media to be like, all I was doing was carrying a billboard and these mean people attacked me. I mean, so he's kind of like an agent provocateur sort of thing. Not in that he's going to say anything provocative, but that he's trying to incite people to attack him so that he can then be like, oh my God, I can't believe these people are attacking me. I've seen multiple videos of him doing this. I was like, all right, bro, if that's your jam, listen, there's a lot of money to be made among conservatives pulling blatant publicity stunts that aren't fucking real. So I guess more power to you. But I never really said anything about him. But every once in a while, someone says something about me in his replies. And Billboard Chris gets a bunch of replies, right? Like, he could very well just ignore the things that people are saying that he doesn't like. He doesn't have to interact with them. He doesn't have to express an opinion about everything on the internet. But whenever someone brings me up and my work up and says, hey, Chris, why don't you talk to Carlin? Billboard Chris gets so fucking pissed off. And it could be just like out of nowhere. So, for example, shout out to Daniel. This happened last night. So Daniel, God bless Daniel. Because Daniel is on Twitter all day long. Like, I see these notifications pop up like all the time where he's telling people about my work. He's teaching people stuff he learned. He says, follow these accounts to learn more. And it's just like, he's not saying anything bad. He's not saying anything wrong. So Daniel last night responded to a video that Billboard Chris posted that had a drag queen in it. And he said, queer Marxists through the schools and drag queen story time have corrupted the youth into thinking gender is performance and not biological, as the gender binary upholds capitalism, which they want abolished. Follow Carlin to learn to be actively unwoke with better discourses. I mean, brilliant. And Daniel does this stuff all the time, and I really appreciate it. And the only reason that I know about this is because I happened to see that Billboard Chris responded to it. And he said, Carlin Borisenko is a fantastic follow if you value the worst humanity has to offer. Really? Really? Oh, really? You're telling me that me sitting over here watching socialism on the internet makes me literally the worst person in the world? You're telling me we live in a world where the Palestinian people are literally being genocided and no one seems to think that Netanyahu's doing anything wrong. We live in a world where Trump and Zelensky and Vance are literally getting into a fight in the Oval Office. We are living in a world where there is a real fucking problem with the far left. They're getting kids to cut off their body parts. They're getting kids to think that gender is not real. They're destroying our entire fucking world, and Trump's executive orders are not going to stop them, by the way. And you're telling me that among all, we're in a world where like immigrants come into our country and like murder people in the streets. We live in a world where there is rampant fucking pornography and like all this fucking like OnlyFans whores all over the internet. But no, guys, no. You know who the worst person in the history of the world is? Me. Does anyone else think this might be a little hyperbolic? Does anyone else think that this perhaps is just a slight overreaction to Billboard Chris being a weak-ass man that is so easily triggered? I am the worst person in the history of the world. Okay, bro. So I had a good laugh about that. And then yeah, it may be like it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? And then Mizakan, who is always there. Mizakan, who is like, listen, like, don't. There are very few people on the internet that I don't want to piss off. Mizakan is one of the people I don't want to piss off because not only does he have like the notes of every far leftist book, he does such a fucking amazing job. We don't take enough advantage of the content he puts out there about these far left books where he goes through and reads all of them and highlights them. And I've tried to read these books. He is doing the Lord's work. He is doing us all a service, and we need to thank him for that. And we need to take much more advantage of the content that he's creating for us. But also, in addition to really wanting to see my tits, he also provides internet gossip all the time. He always knows what's going on. Yeah, I'm worse than Putin. Yeah, exactly. I'm worse than Putin. I'm worse than than I'm worse than the guy in North Korea. I am worse than everyone. So Mizakan sends me this thing. And he said, Carlin, did you know that Billboard Chris was a Scientologist? And I was like, no. Wait, what? Now, who in the chat, one in the chat, if you've ever watched those documentaries from like Leah Remini about how bad Scientology is, two in the chat if you have no direct experience with Scientologists. Scientologists, man, Scientologists are a trip. I used to be obsessed with those Scientology shows because I'm obsessed with things like cults. I think cults are really interesting, right? And so I watch all the Scientology content religiously. I have probably seen Leah Remini's entire series multiple fucking times. I'm like, you are shitting me. Billboard Chris was a Scientologist? Yeah. The old heads on my channel will remember back when I was actually interacting with the Scientologists and I was thinking about going and taking the personality assessment, and I actually did the personality assessment online, and then I was supposed to go in person and do it, and I chickened out because I didn't want to get on some sort of fucking list. I didn't want to get harassed by the Scientologists. And then they just kept calling and emailing me. You guys have no fucking idea how many emails the Scientologists sent me. So I was like, you're shitting me. Billboard Chris is a Scientologist. And then Mizakan sent me this video. Not that. Actually, that's the archive of his post. We'll talk about that. And then Mizakan sent me this video. Woman speaks out about Billboard Chris Elston, and others have been trying for years. And I was like, oh, what's this about? And so I didn't watch this video. We're going to experience this video together. But I was like, should I watch this video on a stream for drama? Should we all have fun? And so then I was like, I wonder if there are other videos about Billboard Chris out there. So I did a little search. I said Billboard Chris Scientology. And what comes up? First thing, check this out. First off, growing up in Scientology, I used to watch his YouTube channel all the time. I love his YouTube channel. Aaron, I think is his name. I've actually been on a stream with him one time. He seemed like a nice enough guy, but I used to watch his shit all the time. I don't watch much Scientology stuff anymore. But I was like, the very first thing that pops up is from 3 weeks ago. Billboard Chris is an ex-Scientologist. But here's what really caught my attention. Billboard Chris bought 60,000 followers. Let's just watch this short real quick. This is a little preview of the longer video from Aaron, or however we pronounce his name. Watch this real quick.
He had 200 followers, and Leah Remini kept ignoring him, and all of you from the Aftermath show kept ignoring him. And he's like, watch what I'm about to do. And within the next 24 hours, he went up to like 60,000 followers because of this booster app that he bought.
I'm sorry, what? Billboard Chris gained 60,000 followers overnight for no apparent reason? I'm sorry, what? So guys, what we're going to do on this stream is we're going to watch these two videos. We're going to watch these two videos. We're going to watch this one first. Woman speaks out about Billboard Chris. This is from a year ago. And then we're going to watch this shorter clip from Growing Up Scientology. And if anyone else has any other dirt on Billboard Chris that we can find, please feel free to send it to me, because I've kind of just let this go long enough. Billboard Chris wants to keep coming at me online. I have no problem talking about him because I've never liked him. I think he's a paid shill. I always have. I think he needs to go back to fucking Canada. He doesn't belong here. If he's really all this worried about this stuff, he should be looking in Canada, because Canada is way worse than the United States. So if he actually cares, he should be trying to clean up his own country, not fucking coming here. And he talked shit about me for no good reason before I even knew anything about him. So fuck him. Fuck him. But I do have a couple orders of business before I get started. First off, I want to say thank you to Suzanne. Thank you for thinking of us. Thank you, Suzanne. Appreciate it. And then LK said, try to write a review on Amazon for A Brief History of Racism. Amazon is being dumb and not posting it. We'll keep trying. Hey, I do appreciate that. And I want to appreciate everyone who did take the time to write reviews on Amazon for A Brief History of Racism after I yelled at you guys yesterday. You know, it may not have motivated, hundreds of people, but it motivated a couple people to go and write reviews. And that was enough for me, because now we're counterbalancing the spam troll review that's on there. So if you guys want to write a review for A Brief History of Racism, if you've read the book has been out for a little over a week. #1 new release in the censorship category on Amazon. Yay me, yay us. I do appreciate that. If you feel like writing a review for it, reviews really do help out the book in terms of just like people can see that I'm not just making shit up. Other people appreciate it. So if you feel so inclined, please do leave a review for A Brief History of Racism on Amazon. And if you haven't picked up the book yet, you can get it in paperback. You can get it on Kindle. Working on getting it in other booksellers too, but everyone buys their books on Amazon, so I'm not really worried about that. What I did in this book is I went back to the origin of the term racism, who invented it, what did it mean, and I tracked the evolution of the term, and it's actually really interesting. So check it out if you haven't already, and I do appreciate that. I also want to remind people that I am currently powering my fucking way through the next book that will be published, which will come out on March 14th, which is called Debunking the Communist Manifesto. And this started as a little tiny project. I was like, I wondered if I can write a book debunking the Communist Manifesto and have it out in time for Marx's death day, because Marx died. The anniversary of Marx's death is March 14th. I was like, I wonder if I can do that. I bet I can do that. And then I started doing it and, wrote a little baby book. And then I was like, if you're going to do this, you should really do it. And then the book kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm so close. I'm so fucking close to being done this book. There's one chapter that is giving me a bit of trouble because I have to learn stuff that I didn't know. But if you want to read the first couple chapters of the book, to include debunking the preamble of the Communist Manifesto, debunking the first section, bourgeois and proletarian, and debunking the second section, proletarian and communist, head over to the Red Menace Collective. That is redmenacecollective.substack.com. Sign up for a membership there. This is a premium site where you get to actually read draft chapters of my book before it gets published. If you guys see any typos, please leave a comment. Let me know. Don't need to broadcast it all over the internet, Reagan. I'm just teasing Reagan. It wasn't that big of a deal. I'm not upset. Everyone calm down. But if you guys find typos, let me know. If you guys have ideas for things to add to the chapter, guess what? The book's not done yet. So I might be able to accommodate those. If you have questions, if something's not clear, this is actually kind of cool because you guys get to read the book as I'm writing it. And if you want to give me feedback, you can. And if you don't give me feedback, I'm just going to assume that it's great and it's perfect and I don't need to change anything. But you can head over there, read the first 3 chapters now. The rest will be coming very, very, very soon. And I appreciate you guys allowing me to do this. It's a fun little project. I have a couple more books planned after that. We are cranking them out. Trendlin says, any thoughts on the socialist zines I sent you? I haven't looked at them yet, Trendlin, but I promised I will. I promise. The box is sitting out in my hall, so it's getting closer to the office. That means it's closer to actually getting on my plate right now. So I promise you I'm gonna look at the stuff you sent me. I appreciate it, Trendlin. I appreciate the book you sent me. I appreciate that candle. I know I said this yesterday. That candle is fucking awesome. And I'm going to show everyone once I get the box in my office. But thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Last thing I want to say, guys, before we get started is I just want to remind people that it is the last day of February. Can you believe that? What that means is that this is the last day to get the signature Red Menace Collective designs in the Unwoke Art Store for 25% off to celebrate the launch of the Brief History of Racism book. You can get any merch with these designs on it, 25% off until midnight tonight. And it is your last chance to get the limited edition Abolish Public School shirts. And it comes on 4 different things. This is a limited edition design that we're only doing in the month of February. It will be out of the store tomorrow. So if you want that shirt or sweater or tank top or whatever, Pick it up now in the Unwoke Art store. That is unwokeart.com. I do appreciate it. I know we're all having fun tonight, but everyone send a quick prayer for Sin. She is in the hospital. Pray for her recovery. Yeah, LK scared the shit out of me this morning because I woke up and I had a text message saying, we don't know where Sin is and no one can get in touch with her. And with people being sent to Sin's house to do a wellness check. And I was like all day, I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Is Sin okay? Sin is okay. Sin fell down. She's now in the hospital. There's no broken bones, but she was unable to get help for a while, but she is fine. Everyone pray for her recovery, please. Sin is a valued member of this community. She's been going through cancer treatment. We love her. We want her to be safe. And I'm just really, really glad that I was preparing myself for the worst news. I really, really was. And so I'm glad to hear that she's okay. I appreciate LK for keeping us up to date and keeping an eye on things. And, you know, damn, we can't lose Sin. Sin is awesome. Sin is the best. So everyone send prayers for Sin. All right. Let's get into the drama, shall we? Let's get into the drama. So first I want to start off with this. And this is archived. So if you guys want to see the archive, I'll put it in the chat. Just so people know this is real. So this is what Mizakan showed me last night. This is a post from Billboard Chris Elston. No problem, Harpoona. I totally understand where you're coming from. In Facebook land, this drama has been going on for a couple months, but for those not in any Facebook groups, my comments will of course seem suspicious. Also, for the record, I was only in for a little bit. January 96 through December 98 was my entire Scientology experience. Does anyone else find that a little hard to believe? Does anyone else who follows Scientology and all the Scientology crazy shit that comes out, does anyone else find it just a touch difficult to believe that someone was only in Scientology for a couple of years? I went traveling to Ireland on my own as a 20-year-old and picked up a guy on the street in Dublin to ask for directions. The guy was the executive director of the Dublin mission. I'm bad at picking things, apparently. He was the third person I talked to. The person at my B&B, a sandwich specialist at Subway, and then him. 5 days later, I was bored, so I went in and I took their personality test. I got love-bombed, made friends, and started a course. A couple of months later, and running low on cash, some dude told me about the Sea Organization. Now, who knows what the Sea Organization is? I know what the Sea Organization is. Let me know in the chat if you do. We'll talk about that in a second. He said I could continue my studies there and get a room and board in exchange for work. I said, sure, why not? If I don't like it, I'll just leave. I joined the Sea Org in March 96 and began working 100+ hours per week for sometimes no pay or at most about $50 a week. Okay, the Sea Org in Scientology is like the super elite group that people join in Scientology, where they go to work for Scientology and all they ever do is about Scientology, and they're basically slaves to Scientology, but Scientology will take care of them and make sure they're all set and all that stuff. And you have to sign like a 1,000-year contract or something like that in order to, like, you basically have to sign your entire fucking life over to Scientology to be in the Sea Org. There were concerns I was a spy, as no one had ever heard of me, so it took about 3 days for me to get routed in. A billion-year contract? You're right. Yeah, it's even more. It's like, you're right. I haven't watched Scientology stuff in a while. It's like an absurd amount. Like, you are signing your entire fucking life over to this organization. Yes. Scientology is, in fact, a cult. Yes. Well, he wasn't, like, he was in for 3 months, allegedly, before he joined the Sea Org. That also, to me, seems very, very suspicious. That he was only in Scientology for 3 months before he joined the Sea Org. I don't buy that at all. My recruiter got RPF'd, sent to their rehabilitation project force, basically a grueling program of hard manual labor, thought reform, crappy food, and sleep deprivation in the process. She got in an argument with the security officer about me with the top Scientology executive in the UK. She just wanted to get keys to take me into town to get some toiletries. She came storming into the office, keys jingling in hand. Out came Bob after her, picked her up over his shoulder, and tossed her back into the office, kicking and screaming. It was quite a kerfuffle. There's a classroom right beside the security turret. It's a castle. And the supervisors came pouring out to see what was going on. It was clearly disturbed. All the studious Thetans. That was the last anyone talked about her for a couple months. People on RPF aren't allowed to talk to the other Sea Org members, only their fellow RPFers. I worked in Scientology's continual liaison office in the UK, on a beautiful countryside property on about 55 acres. I was taken over security for the base, I was over security for the base. I recruited. I checked people's mail. I recovered people after they'd blown, taken off without approval. I sat outside their room at night when they were a security risk, and I was their ethics officer. I read all the dirt. I walked bomb-sniffing dogs around the base before the International Association of Scientologists events. I met David Miscavige, who was the head of Scientology, and he told me I had a nice suit. And the post goes on and on and on. So apparently Billboard Chris was not only just a general Scientologist, but in the Sea Org and doing security at these major events. Yeah, he was basically a goon. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And now it all starts to make more sense, right? Because if you're a person that would do something like this, you're willing to say whatever the fuck you need to. So now it starts to make a little bit more sense why all of a sudden I have this person who obviously doesn't care about reality, who has been a hired thug in the past, just talking shit about me for no reason. Now it's starting to make more sense. And I've heard about him having encounters with other people as well, where he acts just as thuggish and just as goonish. And doesn't it make sense that the hired thug is the guy running around in a country that's not his own, doing quote-unquote activism by standing on a sidewalk with a billboard trying to provoke leftists to fight him so he can get it on video? Doesn't it sound like a very Scientology thing to do? To try to provoke... In fact, isn't this the Scientology playbook? Where have I seen this before? How many times, for people who've watched those Scientology documentaries, how many times have you seen people that are like, they're Scientologists that they're sent to harass the ex-Scientologists? And what the Scientologists that are harassing the ex-Scientologists do is they go to their houses and they bring video cameras and they try to film them and they try to provoke the ex-Scientologists. Yeah, the squirrel stuff. Exactly, the squirrel shit. They try to provoke the ex-Scientologists to like break their stuff or cause trouble so they can get it on camera so they can use it against them. Billboard Chris is literally rolling out the fucking Scientology playbook in his quote-unquote activism. And no one thought to question this? No one thought to question this. Well, why would they? He has a good image, right? That's all that matters to conservatives. It's about image, darling. It's about brand. That's all we really care about. So let's dig into this first video and let's find out what this person had to say. I really didn't watch much of this video when it was sent to me last night. I watched like 30 seconds of it. And then I was like, maybe I'll just watch this on a stream. So let's watch this video and let's see what's what.
Here we are. If anybody's wondering why I looked like I was 12 years old in the Uta Hagen interview, that's because I didn't realize that I had enhance image filter on and Zoom, so that I should look appropriately, accurately ghoulish this time.
It's too funny.
So a while back, I made a skit, a 10-second skit.
Kid is a child being dragged into being a medical patient.
Thank
Billboard
you.
Chris, shut the fuck up.
I didn't think it would be anything more than that. But then some people who I didn't expect seemed to weirdly appreciate me just telling this guy to shut up. Then a very detailed and disturbing comment appeared, which I thought was probably of interest to people, so I pinned it. The next thing I know, suddenly Chris is coming at me on Twitter with about the...
Hang on. We'll look at that in a second. Mizakan just posted something else. Is Billboard Chris a Scientologist? This is Scientologist crazy speak, at cause, etc. The psychiatric profession and its Bible, the DSM, are... Oh shit! This is Scientology! Has anyone ever been to the Psychiatry Death Museum in Los Angeles? I don't remember the exact name of it. This was about 8 years ago. I had a client in Los Angeles, so I was going to Los Angeles a lot. And it happened to be the client was right next to this Psychiatry Death Museum that was like on Hollywood Boulevard or something like that. And so I was leaving my client's office one day, and it's a free museum. You can go in and look around. I was like, I'm going to go in this weird Scientology museum. And they have a whole fucking... It is the most bizarre thing in the world. If you have a chance to go to it in Los Angeles, it is fucking crazy town. And it's got terrible energy, too. I got, like, halfway through the tour of, like, the Psychiatry Death Museum, and I had to, like, run out of the building. I was like, I can't stay in this. This is crazy. It's making me feel crazy. So, Scientologists hate psychiatry. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of drugging people, but like Scientologists have a visceral hatred for psychiatry because Ron Hubbard hated psychiatry, so that's where this comes from. The psychiatric profession and its Bible, the DSM, are largely one giant fraud. Mental illness is not due to chemical imbalance and never has been. The belief was nothing more than a marketing campaign for the pharmaceutical industry, an industry which wants you drugged and not healthy. With extreme exceptions, you are a cause over your existence. Apparently that's a Scientologist thing. If your life is in shambles, you should stop drinking, stop doing drugs, stop ruminating inside your own head, and find a purpose. Learn to be stoic. Yeah, Billboard Chris is real stoic when he's insulting me on the internet for no good reason. Life is not always easy or fair, and that is okay. Having a victimhood mindset is an awful thing. This sounds like Tom Cruise. I don't think it's near the Getty. I don't remember exactly. This sounds like Tom Cruise. But he was only in Scientology for a couple of years, guys. It was just an unfortunate moment. It is an unfortunate blip on the radar, yet he still sounds like a Scientologist today. All right, let's go back over here. I need to set the sound up again. So what does this say? So this is Billboard Chris apparently replying to this guy. You might want to get a few facts. You might want to get a few facts before publishing libel. That woman's real name is Marissa Sigmund, a bona fide psychopath who's been harassing me for 5 years. Oh, okay. Yep, I've heard that story before. She's especially mad the FBI contacted her after sending me a death threat, which included a picture of my house. All right, let's see.
Phoniest looking death threat that I've ever seen, claiming it was from you. The commenter was you, but then like his cronies start coming at me, and suddenly like this 10-second skit has become like a fucking Stephanie Harlow video, and I'm like, okay, this was not worth it, and took it down. I'm not trying to stir up shit, but I
Wait,
think this channel.
What did he say in that last thing? You should try learning a thing or two about. You should wait. Hang on, I need to read this correctly. You should try learning the truth about who your pinned commenter is, Ryan. Holy shit, this is something Carrie would do. Serial harasser of people for years. Her real name is Marissa. She's mad, but the FBI contacted her. What a shame it would be in my wife. And it's all documented. She's also mad because I defended people like Ginger Sugarman from her abuse. A woman who narrowly survived a murder attempt from Marissa's pal, Arnie. A man who then took his own life. Marissa, yeah, this all sounds fucking crazy. I know what this is. Because I've literally had people say shit like this about me. Let me bring you back to Carrie Smith, who is one of Billboard Chris's friends. Carrie Smith literally posted on the internet that I was coordinating a hunting posse to go and physically hunt her and her friends. I swear to God. I got reported to Dave Rubin and locals by insane people like this who told Dave Rubin and locals, Carlin is using your platform to coordinate a hunting posse to come and physically hunt us, and we are in danger. What the fuck? Of course, there was no evidence provided of this, no receipts provided. There was, and in fact, it's just like, so I bring this up because this has exactly the same vibe as the whole Carlin was forming a hunting posse to come and kill me because she is literally a cannibal on the internet. I swear to God, this was all real. Carrie told people that I was packing meat freezers full of like, anyway, if it sounds very hyperbolic coming from assholes like this, it almost always is. You think I'm motivated enough to form a fucking hunting posse? I'm barely even motivated enough to go grocery shopping.
I'm not trying to stir up shit, but I think this channel sort of functions best when I'm holding men to account. Like the whole trans issue. I mean, there's no such thing as trans. They're just men.
What the fuck?
That would very much include men
that?
not pretending to be women. And so I feel I would be remiss not to share your story with people. And so, who is Marisa Sigmund, and what is her mysterious connection to Billboard Chris?
No, thank you very much, and I appreciate you for reaching out to me. And I guess my place in all of this is to elaborate and give some clarification on the background of Chris Elston, which he has decided to, basically trademark or commercialize his name as Billboard Chris, which I think is absolutely hilarious. My thing is, obviously I am a woman. I am a male, and I have 2 daughters. My place in this is not the gender critical aspect of this. I contacted you, and me and you became I would say friends at this point. It's not because of the gender.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. Well, we contacted, or I should say, I saw your video, and it caught my eye because of Chris Elston. It's a concern to me because I see what he is doing, and I know where his roots stem from before the whole gender critical movement that he.
Guys, breaking news. Breaking news. I'm so happy right now. Laura Loomer wants me to send her videos of the leftist training so she can promote them. Okay, everyone fucking knock on wood that I didn't just like fuck this up and curse it in some way. But that would actually be pretty fucking sweet. That would actually be pretty sweet. If someone actually fucking cares about this stuff to put it out, like an actual fucking journalist, that would be sweet. So we got to get Laura Loomer some good videos. We got to get her some good stuff. We got to get her some good, juicy tea. We got to curate the craziest clip reel of all time. And if she actually does it, that'd be pretty fucking great. And I would be on her side forever because she is the queen.
Ideas became a part of. And I guess what I mean is like I didn't even know there was a gender critical movement. I was born and raised in Scientology, and I was a part of the anti-Scientology activist movement, you know, because as there is a gender critical activist scene, there is a cult activist scene, whether it's anti-Mormonism, anti-Scientology, anti-Jehovah's Witness, you know, that's where I come from. Chris Elston, back in 2017, popped up out of nowhere into the anti-Scientology forums. And, you know, this was back when Leah Remini had her show, Scientology and the Aftermath. And it was a show about, basically, Leah Remini was a lifelong Scientologist. She was born and raised in it, like myself.
So what I'm hearing is that when Scientology was getting really big online and people were getting famous for being ex-Scientologists, all of a sudden Billboard Chris pops up and go, me, I'm an ex-Scientologist. Talk to me, promote me, talk about me. I'm an ex. Can you make me famous for being an ex-Scientologist? Do I have that right?
Gosh, I'm just trying to make my friend says to make a long story longer. He just popped out of nowhere, you know, and he befriended me and several other ex-Scientology women, and he created a Facebook forum for all of us. And it was nothing. It was 20 women, and he was the only
Annie.
male in the group.
Appreciate you.
Actually, there was one other male, him and one other male, and then like 20 women.
Wait.
And he just came
Are you telling me that Billboard Chris created a Gnostic sex cult?
out of the blue and was like, you know, I'm Chris Elston and blah blah blah. And you know, he seemed friendly enough in the beginning, but as they say, you know, there's the whole term love bombing, you know, which I have since learned, you know, when somebody love bombs you, it's a huge red flag, you know. And
It's sort of a form of hate.
Not always. That's a bad.
yes,
That's
exactly. And it was very strange that.
Okay, side note, I actually think that's kind of like a horrible thing to say. Yes, when people love bomb you, it can be a problem, but it's not actually always a problem. Sometimes people actually just click and they get along and they want to talk and they're excited about talking. I don't think we should always say that love bombing people is a problem, because sometimes it might be coming from a genuine place of just excitement, and that should be okay.
You know, he was the only male outside of this one other male who was very quiet and timid. The men that he does allow in his groups are typically men that are like, I don't know, guys that are very quiet, and they kind of like let their wives rule the roost or their girlfriends rule the roost. That's what I've noticed about him.
Oh, he lets in beta males.
And so this Facebook group that he had with all of us, he was messaging all of us 24/7, specifically me. I mean, I have hundreds of messages saved from him where he's just messaging me and he's like, who is this person? Who is that person? Who's this person? Blah, blah, blah. At 1 a.m, 3 a.m, 5 a.m, 7 a.m. He lives in Canada and I am in Arizona. And at first, me and my ex-Scientology friends, female friends, we kind of thought he was like a cool enough man, you know, to do all of this, but we began to get, I guess, I don't know what the word is, cautious about him, because it was like, see, then he started telling us that he's married and he has 2 children, 2 daughters. And we're like, wow, for a married man that has 2 daughters at home, you sure spend an awful lot of time on social media talking
Wow.
to other women. He would do things like message me private conversations where he's asking other Scientology critics about me.
Oh,
And he would send me these screenshots and he
Isn't
would
that
say, hey, I
weird?
want you to take a look at this. Look at what so-and-so is saying about you. It's these long-winded screenshots of private conversations. And I'm like,
oh,
dude, why are you sending?
I don't recognize this type of behavior at all. It's almost like he's spreading a smear campaign. I have absolutely no experience with this type of bullshit, let me tell you.
This to me? I know this person doesn't like me. I mean, I've been a part of the anti-Scientology critic scene for over a decade. I know who likes me and I know who does not like me. I don't need you taking it upon yourself to stir up shit, essentially. And that's
Yeah.
what he was doing, you know? And he got extremely
We
mad at
found
me
the male
when I
Carrie
told him
Smith.
this.
True.
He's like, listen, I consider you my friend and I want you to know who's talking, you know, badly about you, saying bad things about you. And I'm like, Chris, I know who.
So essentially, okay, so now we've got this person who's claiming to be an ex-Scientologist, but kind of still seems to be behaving like a Scientologist, trying to go into ex-Scientology communities and stir up shit and stir up drama, possibly to cause problems in the ex-Scientology community, so they do something that can be used against them to discredit them. Am I understanding this correctly?
Doesn't like me in this movement. And I know who does like me. I don't need you showing me private conversations. And, you know, what he was doing was showing all of us private conversations. And
Yep.
then he was going to these people and showing them private conversations
Ha!
with us. And he was doing this as a way to build himself up.
So he was trying to literally pit. This is why he only wanted women in the group, by the way. He was trying to pit all the women and all the beta males against each other to cause dissension and bullshit.
Kind of be the head honcho of like the ex-Scientology activist scene, if that makes sense. And he would tell us straight up, he's like, I'm going to be famous at this. I am going to
really
be the leader of
Gonna be
the
famous?
anti-Scientology activism front. But he couldn't because Leah Remini is a celebrity and her sidekick, Mike Render, I mean, he is very famous now as well. Chris Elston has no shot at anything in the Scientology movement.
So he always just wanted to be famous. You don't say. I couldn't have seen that coming. He always just wanted to be famous and he needed to find a way to get famous.
And I finally told him, I'm like, listen, man, you are being a shit disturber. And what you're doing, I don't appreciate it. I didn't ask you to do this. You're not helping me. Please stop. And he just became like livid. And if you notice with what I've seen him doing so far with the
look
gender
at
critical scene,
that.
if you do
Look at
not
that.
acknowledge him or say that he's helping you, he becomes like irate.
He does.
It's
True.
completely insane.
Well, and
Wait, what does that say? What does that say? What does that say? What is it with this Chris Elston? Is he completely deranged? I'm blocked and get called a TRA, trans rights activist, for telling him that he's offended lots of feminists. I'd suggest any feminists that have a blank or blank in their bio may wish to block him before he calls them a TRA too. And here we have, the only people complaining right now are the ones with the red squares. Twitter is always completely dead at this time of day, and it's on fire right now. Sorry, Tiara. Okay, whatever.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's worth noting. Pretty much exclusively at women.
What is her name? Kelly Jean. And I'm
So is the red square meaning like, is it like turf sort of thing?
sorry because
Yeah, Kelly J. Keane. Yeah, more so he's gone after Megan Murphy and Kara Dansky. That was the part I loved when he complained about Kara Dansky.
You know who else has gone after feminists? James. And to be honest, I don't actually really like feminists, so I'm not on the side of feminists. I think that the feminists are insufferable. I don't like them. I don't like interacting with them. I try to avoid them at all costs. I don't directly shit on them in public because like they do some things that I agree with. I just don't want to interact with feminists. But that doesn't mean I attack them. Unless they
he said
attack
that he
me.
was. He's been mistreated by day one for the crime of being a man. I just want to be like, Chris, do you actually know who J.K. Rowling is? You might have noticed she received a few complaints for much less strong comments. You know what I mean? And this guy, I mean, like, visit turfisaslur.com, you know, and then come back and just tell me that this guy is treated so badly because he's a man.
And, you know, if you notice, there's a pattern. J.K. Rowling, if I am saying her name, I apologize. Rowling, you know, he basically went from one activist front that is spearheaded by a female celebrity to another activist front spearheaded by a female celebrity.
I wouldn't say J.K. Rowling is spearheading anything,
women's
but okay.
groups that he is trying to be a part of.
That's weird.
I saw what he did to Megan, and yeah, there was a message.
What did Megan Murphy say? I just want to publicly and clearly say I do not support Chris Elfson or his ongoing actions from the get-go. It has been clear that this individual is not to be trusted politically or this is back in 2020. This is 2 years before I had a run-in with him. It's not to be trusted politically or personally. I am disappointed this was not clear to everyone early on. This man does not speak for J.K. Rowling. He does not speak for our movement here in BC. He speaks on behalf of no women and no feminists. This movement is a women's movement. We are not here to harass people. This is not an attention-seeking... Wow! Holy shit. See, I had no idea. I never cared enough to look into this.
He said to Megan, it was something. He's like, I'm not finished with you, Megan Murphy. I'm not done with you. And I'm like, you know, the things that he says are very threatening.
Oh yeah?
You know? It's like, why would you say that? You know what I mean? And I think I honestly think he's jealous of Megan because she was on like Joe Rogan's show, and that's been like an ultimate dream of Elston's is to be on Joe Rogan, and he literally has.
All these fucking people are the same. All these people are the same. Every single person I've ever had a problem with has been an obsessed fame whore that was just jealous every time someone went on a show they wanted to go on, every time someone had a bigger platform than them, and they get insane over their jealousy.
Begged his followers, like, please tag Joe Rogan and to get me on Joe Rogan's show. And I'm like, that's so stupid. Why would you? You're obviously attention, like fame whore, and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Fame whore, exactly.
I have to tell you the truth. That's actually what I'm trying to do right now. That's all.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you probably know who, God, what's his name? Lex Friedman. You kind of have like a Lex Friedman vibe to you. Like you're very just laid back and. I don't know.
I mean, to this.
Just for the record, I do not. I'm trying to pick up something off the floor with my foot. I do not want to be a fame whore. I want as few people to watch me as human. It's knocked over my water glass. Great. I want as few people to watch me as possible, and I want to be able to have enough of an audience where I can sustain being a content creator and doing all this socialism stuff, but not so big of an audience that I'm famous and not so big of an audience that I'm relevant. I don't want to be relevant. I don't want to be relevant. I don't want any of this. I just want to talk about socialism and be left alone. That's all.
Day, if Megan Murphy, blasphemes his holy billboardness, the
His
same
holy
group of goons with the
billboardness?
same avatars will still mob her to this day. He spent all about like 15 minutes on me before he blocked me. Yeah.
Oh.
But before he did, I mean, he would use language like, want to play. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, he
dude,
tries to act
okay.
like a tough guy.
Yeah, you're like the fucking Joker. All right.
You want to play? Oh my God, that's so funny. But you are a man, and he does not go after men the same way that he goes after women. See, with
That's why that's why he never liked me, because I'm not a typical woman. I'm a more masculine. I have more masculine energy. I'm like the type of woman that will behave like a man and get in your fucking face and not back down from your bullshit.
women, I've been dealing with him for 3 years, and he'll say things to this day like, "Oh,
By the way, the only men who are intimidated by women like me are extremely weak and insecure men. Every single time. And they can put on a good front. But every single time I run into a man who has deep insecurities over me and wants to attack me or like spew shit about me that has no basis in reality, universally, every time, they're a beta male cuck that has deep self-esteem issues and needs to go to therapy and work out their feelings on someone else because they don't feel masculine enough and they don't feel good enough and they feel like life hasn't been fair to them as a man, as though real men, real masculine men, can't just take what they fucking want. If you're a man and you're worried about how you are a poor, abused victim of the world and how everyone is so mean, you need to go to therapy, bro.
I'm not done with Marisa Sigmund yet. When I have time, I'm going to tell you about," and I'm like, "Bring it on, Chris. Like, I'm not afraid of you." And he knows I'm not afraid of him. I'm not scared of him at all. He's a fucking dipshit. And I have seen him firsthand in the Scientology activist scene. He never harasses men. There's a man named Marty Rathburn who is an ex-Scientologist. Pretty prominent, he's pissed off a lot of people. Chris Elston went after his wife, and he encouraged people to attack Marty Rathburn's wife's business, to shut her business down.
What does that say? So the Rathburns, this is Chris, so the Rathburns have gone into the cake business. A strange way to launder money. This is such a Scientology thing. He is fucking lying if he says he's an ex-Scientologist. I'm sorry. This is, like, anyone who has ever watched a Scientology documentary in your life knows that this is a Scientology thing. So the Rathburns have gone into the cake business. A strange way to launder money. We need to find out if Carrie Smith was ever connected to Scientology. I'm not even joking. Carrie Smith used to be a booking agent for comedians in Hollywood. It's not as though she doesn't have these types of connections. If Carrie Smith was ever a fucking I'm at least half convinced right now that Carrie Smith is like a former Scientologist of some sort. Just based on this, because the reason I say that is because her behaviors and Billboard Chris's behaviors are so eerily similar, it's not even funny. Anyway, back to this. So the Rathburns have gone into the cake business, a strange way to launder money, or maybe Miss Cabbage really likes cakes. I'm teasing, but seriously, if you like cake and want to leave a review about two people who fired their lawyers, who were winning an important precedent-setting case against the world's strangest criminal religion, costing their lawyers $1 million in the process, and then went on to attack every victim associated with Leah's show, there is a button to leave a review. This is Scientology. Monique attested to the state of clear thanks to Marty's incredible auditing. So bad reviews shouldn't re-stimulate her too much. Uh-huh. You got a girl pregnant in the Velvet Underground group? Oh yeah? How do you feel? How do you feel about that, offensive saint?
He did nothing to Marty Rathburn. And I'm not saying Marty is like a good guy by any means, but it's like, okay, dude, Marty is the main culprit here who's doing all this like fucked up shit in Scientology. Why are you not going after Marty? Why are you encouraging your cronies and your followers to attack his wife? And Chris Elston specifically with me went after my daughter and my mother when I was having a problem with him. My daughter was 22 years old at the time, and she didn't even live. My daughter moved out when she was 18. You know, did pretty good for herself, has her own apartment. And Chris Elston encouraged his followers to find out where my daughter works, which he did. And my mother, who is like in her 70s, he, of all things, and this is very funny, Chris Elston tagged a post that my mother made about trans people and how the government is using the trans movement, trans children specifically, and he encouraged people to attack my mom because of a trans comment. And he was like, hey everybody, look at Marisa Sigmund's anti-trans mother. And he called my mother a transphobe, which is so funny.
What? Billboard Chris was calling people transphobes to get other people to attack them. That seems odd, considering his messaging today is completely the opposite. So are we saying that Billboard Chris might not actually believe anything he says, and he's just doing it to be famous and make money? Wow, I never would have guessed that that was the case.
Because originally Chris Elston, like 4 or 5 years ago, was like a die-hard defender of trans rights for children and adults. And now
he was a die-hard defender of trans rights for children. Can we just hear that again?
Transphobe, which is so funny, because originally Chris Elston, like 4 or 5 years ago, was like a die-hard defender of trans rights for children and adults. And now he is this hardcore activist against all of this. And he's kind of like the poster boy for, you know,
literally
speaking against it. And so I just think that that's very funny. But my attitude with Elston these days is like, hey, if you're going to come after my kid and you're going to come after my mother, you know, I have my eye on him, and I always will have my eye on him. And his cronies say, oh, this Marisa chick has been watching him for all these years. And you're damn right I do. If you're going to come after my family, the women in my family, I am going to have my eye on you for a very long time. And, you know,
I just want to point out that at this stage, if there are any of you watching that didn't believe me when I said that Billboard Chris was a paid shill and none of this was real and that this guy's going to be a problem, if any of you didn't believe me, I expect to see some $2 Carlin is right super chats rolling in. Because, again, this was an issue that I never actually cared enough to research it. The only reason we're doing this is because he talked shit about me on Twitter yesterday. And I was right. And if you agreed with me, that's great. You don't have to send me money. You can just acknowledge that I was right and that you were right too. But if you did disagree with me, we have an honor system on this channel, which is when I am right and you are wrong, you owe me $2. And you need to admit it and you need to sit in your wrongness and be wrong because I was right and you were wrong. He said, and I showed this earlier on the stream, he said that I was the worst person in the history of the world and I was the worst example of humanity that someone could interact with. That's what he said. I'm the worst person in the world. You have probably been infected by me just by being in my chat right now, according to Billboard Chris.
know, he says on his Twitter quite frequently, "Oh, I'm a Papa Bear, and you don't go after Papa Bears." So it's like, all right, Chris Helston. Hey, you know what, Chris Helston, you're going after a Mama Bear, and you just don't do that.
Okay,
So
thanks,
I contacted his wife because he was harassing me
Nick. Good for
and
her.
my
Get his
ex-Scientology
ass in trouble.
friends. These are women that grew up in Scientology. And he was just being so vindictive and just psychotic. He is the clinical definition, I would say, of like a maniac. He calls it relentless, but
I have no
he
experience
is a
with this.
maniac. You know, his energy is just so manic and crazy.
All right, so we've got police officers telling me that I shouldn't be walking in a crowd. A man just swatted my phone out of my hand onto the ground. They're doing nothing about it. And they're doing nothing to keep me safe. I'm allowed to be...
They're doing nothing to keep me safe. I remember this video. This is when he went to a protest and was trying to deliberately provoke people to attack him. And then when people did, he's like, no, I'm innocent. I did nothing wrong. You have to keep me safe. He's like a fucking leftist.
Here, I'm allowed to walk freely, and I'm going to walk through this crowd. All right? And if someone assaults me, I expect you guys to act on it.
This is
and do something about
Scientology.
it.
Thank you, Elena.
I can walk anywhere I like. This is a free country.
You can, but I'm asking you not to go because you're instigating.
I'm not instigating anything.
He's instigating.
I'm walking.
Okay, thanks.
Are you telling me
The cop is flat out saying, Billboard Chris, you're the one instigating this bullshit. You're instigating. You're the one causing the problem. He's not being persecuted for being against trans kids, guys. They're saying you're the one instigating the fucking problem, bro.
I'm not allowed to wear signs and walk freely?
I'm not saying anything. Okay, thank you.
Is anyone here going to do anything to keep me safe?
See, he's still... See, this is how you know this is all set up. Because the cop has literally said, bro, if you want to go, go. Go. I'm not going to talk to you. Go. Now, a normal person, if all Billboard Chris really wanted to do was walk through that crowd and film with his little camera, he could have just gone. But he said, no, you're going to keep me safe. Are you? Like, he's trying to make a whole big scene so he can get it on video, so he can go viral on social media. I never doubted you because you always get receipts eventually. It does work out like that. I may not have receipts the moment I say it because sometimes it's a gut instinct or I'm like, that person did something really fucking shady. What other shady things are they doing? But eventually, it always comes out. Always. Every single time. I have been vindicated 100% of the time when I've said someone is a problem.
Anyone?
Yes, you are the same person.
So I contacted his wife on Twitter and Facebook. I found her name. You can't find it anymore. Because he completely eradicated all of her social media outlets. And I messaged her.
Look at this. He was antagonizing other protesters and even attempted to punch someone. And this has got to be a lesson for conservatives, man. Just because you agree with what someone is saying doesn't actually mean they're on your team. Most of conservative media is filled with people just like this who just want to be famous. They will literally say and do anything to be famous. They don't even have to agree with it. Dragon Balls! Thank you for being a member of the channel. Hey there, Queen Carlin. Anyone who can't pronounce the word about correctly should not be trusted. The man is shady AF. Always has been, always will be. Thank you, Dragon Balls.
I was very respectful because I am not mad at the woman at all.
Look at his face.
I am of the mindset of, hey, if your husband is doing bad things, I want you to know about it, you know? So I contacted her and I was like, hey, as a woman, I am approaching you with all due respect. You need to know what your husband is up to. And can you please get him to stop? He is harassing me and my friends 24/7. He has contacted my daughter's job. He has pinned things up of my mother. He messages me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can show you all of the messages
Wow.
that he has sent me. I just want you to get him to stop. This is your husband. You need to be aware of what he's doing, and just please tell him to leave us alone. And literally in less than like 5 minutes went by, and all of her social media accounts were deleted. I don't know if you can you still hear me? I don't know if the sound is
I can
going.
still hear you.
Wow.
I honestly believe he deleted her social media accounts, and it
Because-
was within 5 minutes. Or
Does his wife even exist? Has anyone ever seen Billboard Chris's wife? Is it possible? Listen, I know I'm speculating here. I'm speculating this is probably not real, and I acknowledge that. Is it possible that Billboard Chris had social media accounts that were pretending to be his wife? Because just think about this. Like, okay, my husband has social media. He doesn't really use it, but he does have it. If someone messaged my husband, and this has happened, people have messaged my husband talking about me. Is my husband just going to delete all of his social media accounts within 5 minutes? I'll tell you exactly what my husband would do. My husband would ignore it and go on with life, and it wouldn't actually affect anything. And because that's exactly what's happened. So you're telling me some random person, and I don't necessarily like approve of reaching out to people's loved ones unless things have gotten really bad. If things get really bad, that's kind of a different story. But this woman reached out to his wife. Within 5 minutes, the wife's social media accounts were completely deleted. Just think about that. If someone reached out to your loved one, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and they said some crazy shit, would you delete your entire social media account? That doesn't make any sense. Why would she just delete her social media account? I mean, I might tell the person to fuck off. I might ignore the person. I might private my account. I might change the name of my account. I suppose if like you're really skittish, but even like, but did he, or was he running the accounts and therefore he just deleted them because they didn't mean anything? Because if Victor came to me, I'm just playing this out in real life. If Victor came to me and said, Carlin, I got these batshit crazy messages about you, am I going to go, you have to delete your account right now? That doesn't make any fucking sense. That doesn't make sense. So Billboard Chris's wife goes to him. He says, you have to delete your account right now. Why? Why are you deleting? I get batshit crazy messages like every day. Like why? Like so I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah. Either she's the one who deactivated the accounts, or he's kind of worried about his family being
But
seen
is
in
she
the
real,
open,
is the
activists
question. Is she
attacking
actually
him,
real?
whatever. I mean, what would you say to that?
he was harassing me and several of my female friends 24 hours a day. And when I say harassment, I mean hardcore harassment. I'm sure you've seen videos of the girl, the ginger, I forget what job position she has, but he's following her literally down the street and he's not leaving her alone.
Puberty blockers. Why do you think
You
that?
should go fuck yourself and worry about something that actually matters. You fucking fuckwit!
Do you know what puberty blockers are?
Motherfucker, I work at Island Sexual Health. I'm a gender consultant, and you're a piece of
You're
shit!
a gender consultant. Well, let's have a.
Piece of shit!
Well, why don't you educate me?
Fuck you!
Because you're a gender consultant. Why don't you?
Okay, let's play this out though. Let's play this out. Obviously, we don't like the leftists. We are not on team leftist. We are not on team gender consultant. We oppose the transing of kids, all that stuff. But let's just say that maybe Billboard Chris edited this video to look a little bit out of context. Because if you're a person and someone who politically disagrees with you is following you down the street with a video camera, yelling at you, aren't you going to get pissed off? So, and we don't have to like her and we don't have to be on our team to say that. But maybe Billboard Chris staked this person out. They knew how they walked to work or how they got home from work. And they just decided to show up one day and follow them down the street with a video camera screaming questions at them. Now, you might not like what she does for a living, but if anyone did that, wouldn't you get a little bit pissed off and say, go fuck yourself? I would. Because it seems like she's trying to mind her own business to me.
You educate me.
It's like I went to Panera Bread today. I know it seems unrelated. I went to Panera Bread today because I was craving some soup. Sometimes I do that. I'm getting old. It's comfort food. Whatever. It's cold out. And at Panera Bread, do you know who was making my lunch? A queer Marxist. It was a tranny, and it was obviously a woman, but with a beard and with weird testosterone voice. And they had socialist tattoos all over themselves, and they had the hair, and I'm like looking at them, I'm like, this is just soup, you can't fuck this up. Like, I'm literally just ordering soup. And so I watched them make my lunch, and I was very suspicious of them because I was like, you're a queer Marxist, and I know you're a queer Marxist because you got all the signs all over yourself, and you're talking in testosterone voice. But do you know what I didn't do? I didn't start yelling at the person in the middle of Panera Bread and demanding they renounce their political beliefs. I didn't whip out my phone and start, are you a queer like filming the person. I calmly waited for the person to get my fucking lunch, and I went and ate my lunch, and there was no altercation and no bullshit. So why is he following this person down the street with a video camera yelling at them? What precipitated this? Let's just back up a little bit. Is he just trying to provoke them?
Her literally down the street, and he's not leaving her alone.
Puberty blockers. Why do you think
You
that?
should go fuck yourself and worry about something that actually matters. You fucking fuckwit.
Do you know what puberty blockers are?
Motherfucker, I work at Island Sexual Health. I'm a gender consultant, and you're a piece of
You're
shit.
a gender consultant. Well, let's have a...
piece of shit.
Well, why don't you educate me?
Fuck you.
Because you're a gender consultant. Why don't you educate me?
It's not my job to do that because you're not paying me. Why don't you look at Google?
No, I've
Just
done
go
that.
on Google.
I've Googled all sorts of things, and I've
Yeah,
come to the
and you don't have
conclusion
a
that
fucking
children
brain to
cannot
process
consent to
any of
puberty
that
blockers.
information, do you?
Why do you think the High Court
Fuck
last
you.
week...
Wear a mask.
Why do you think the
Wear
High
a
Court...
mask. Keep your distance, and fuck you.
Why do you think the High Court ruled
Fuck
last
you,
week that
man.
children can't consent to children?
Like, she's literally, again, we don't have to like her, we don't have to agree with her. She's trying to walk away from him. She's trying to walk away. She's yelling and screaming and making noise and all that stuff, but he's the one that keeps following her. He's the one that keeps trying to provoke her.
To puberty blockers. Where did you say you work again?
Wear a mask. And fuck you.
So you're a gender consultant for where?
That's a young girl. She's probably been brainwashed like the rest of them
Yep.
into this ideology. You know what I mean?
And, I think I had mentioned to you before that Matt Walsh, since I've been kind of sitting back and watching this whole
Matt Walsh.
gender critical, the GC movement, as it's called, and seeing the who's who, I noticed Matt Walsh, and I've seen his wife, and she's like proud wife of Matt Walsh and blah, blah. And she's very active on Twitter. She's very active on social media. And she is very proud to be his wife. And she makes
where's
it like
Billboard's Chris'
loud
wife?
and clear.
Where's his wife?
You do not see that with Chris Elston's wife.
Where is she? Is she real?
She's nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be heard. And I think
so no one has ever seen Billboard Chris's wife. And Billboard Chris spends all his time traveling around America to go stand on a sidewalk and try to provoke people with a billboard. Uh-huh.
I think he just has a clamp on her. He does not want his wife.
Does she exist?
And I don't think it's a matter of because he's protecting his family and he's this Papa Bear protecting his wife and kids. I really think he is living a double life. I think he's living.
Yo, this is a good point that I didn't consider. David Miscavige's wife disappeared for like a long period of time. So if Billboard Chris's wife does exist, did Scientology kidnap her and is holding her somewhere?
A double life, and he hides and shelters his wife from seeing what he is doing while he harasses women and does what he is doing. Because I think that if his wife was fully aware of him chasing the gender consultant down the street or whatever he did with us, I think she would have divorced him or threatened a divorce. And I honestly, you know, I feel sorry for his wife and his children, because I don't think it's a pretty sight at home if I had to put money on it, you know. It just seems like a giant ego fest is what it appears like to me. And I could be wrong, you know, but he has 2 daughters and he's married. Why is he not at home with his children? He's in America like 90% of the time.
True.
He's away from his wife and his daughters,
who are in what's been dubbed Tranada. I've heard they could use some help.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. I said, okay, fine. Billboard Chris is so passionate about this issue. Why isn't he doing it in Canada? Why is he doing it in America? America's not his country. Canada's his country. If he really does have a wife and 2 girls, why isn't he at home in Canada trying to protect them? Never made any sense.
Whether or not people agree with his message, his way of approaching it, and how he's harassing women and hounding them and stalking them and doing predatory type shit, which is what he does.
Like
I
Scientology.
consider him to be a predator.
Yeah. I have a big fat problem with woman harassers. It's like literally all he did is just put a fucking billboard over his body that says "Don't mutilate kids," and suddenly he's invincible. If I'm trying to defend kids, I'm going to be, you know, I'm doing that with my vote. I'm doing that by, you know, in PTAs. You know what I mean? He's just generically recycling the same shit that people have been saying for decades before him. He happens to be there when something goes down because he fucking stalks all over the place with his stupid billboard, and then he gets praised for it as if he went to the phone booth, put on the billboard, and flew out on purpose to, you know, find some creep, you know.
He began with 200 followers on Twitter. And when he was trying to get the attention of Leah Remini, he bought a Twitter booster app. And I know this for a fact because this was when he was still in touch with myself and a couple of other anti-Scientology women, created like activists. And he was joking about it. He was like completely joking about buying this like booster app. And he started with like 200. Sorry, I'm just grabbing like little shut the door really quick. So yeah, he bought this booster app, and I literally watched him go from 200 Twitter followers to 28,000 overnight.
Wow.
Because of this booster app. And you can do this with any like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I don't know how much it costs or whatever, but
yeah, I've been bugged about it on SoundCloud, and you know, you can go check my follow.
Am I a gamer? No, the only game I play is Hill Climb Racing 2. That's it. I'm obsessed with Hill Climb Racing 2. I'm very good at Hill Climb Racing 2. I'm about to get 10,000 like garage points or whatever. I'm the best on my team, and I know my team is made of teenagers mostly because that's who plays that game. But I am the best on my fucking Hill Climb Racing 2 team. I always get the highest score.
account. I haven't used it.
But I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? Like it does exist. I think it's, and he was
Yeah,
joking.
yeah.
He's like, yeah, I bought this Twitter booster thing, and he's like, Leah Remini is gonna pay attention to me. Like those were his exact words. Is that basically Leah Remini is going to pay attention to him
Oh, it's all about
now that
attention.
he looks like a prominent figurehead on Twitter. I guess the difference is Leah Remini shot him down, and she was just like, dude, I want no part of you. Like, I want no part of you. And
Ah!
with the ex-Scientology movement, Leah Remini pretty much rules the roost. And if you're not a part of Leah Remini's crew, which only consists of maybe 5 people, like the ex-Scientology community, it's been going on for several decades, but Leah Remini has completely changed the parameters of it. I would say in a good way, because she's brought worldwide exposure to Scientology, but people like Chris Elston that try to pop up and get her attention, she's like, dude, leave me alone. And he was harassing her and tagging her like all the time. And she finally blocked him.
Really?
And literally the same day that she blocked him, he jumped shipped over to the gender critical JK Rowling scene. Now,
shit. No shit. So Leah Remini hated Billboard Chris so much and found him so annoying that she blocked him, and he immediately just abandoned his whole fucking grift to start the Billboard bullshit. Wow. This is like the best video I've ever seen, ever.
you know, he does have quite a bit of followers because he's been on Tucker Carlson. And I would say that, when he went on Tucker Carlson, shows like that, and this is my calculation of it, the number of Twitter followers he has, I would subtract 40%, and I would say that is a realistic calculation of how many followers he actually has.
Wow.
I don't think it's 100,000. I would say it's maybe 40,000. And I know what he is going to do, and this is what he's done every time that I talk about him. And he's, he did this before, but you will notice as soon as my name comes up, because he's very familiar with who I am, and he will say, "Oh, you mean Marisa Sigmund, the girl that just defended the murderer?" And I want to just put this on record.
This is exactly what Carrie Smith still does to me to this day. Carrie Smith has been doing this shit to me since December of 2020. And it's almost exactly the same MO. Every time someone is talking about me, every time someone is talking about me, even if Carrie is not involved in any way, she has to come in and be like, let me tell you, you hate Carlin? I hate Carlin too. Let's talk about how much we hate Carlin together. Here are all the reasons I hate Carlin. Here's all the reasons Carlin is a psycho, and she's literally my abusive mother. And do you want to read my essay about how Carlin is my abusive mother? And do you want to watch this video that we made, basically exaggerating things and lying and making shit up about all the reasons Carlin is a narcissist? Because we really hate her. Like this goes on all the fucking time. She literally just did it the other day. Yeah, notice how he's doing the same thing to her that he did to you, calling her a psychopath, running a smear campaign when you call him out on his BS. It is the same fucking playbook. These people do the same thing over and over and over again.
I can briefly explain what happened, because it's really repulsive that he would even say that. But there was a lady, unfortunately she's no longer alive, but I would just say their names are Arnie and Ginger. They were a married couple, ex-Scientology couple. And Arnie attempted a murder-suicide. And he succeeded in killing himself. He attempted to shoot his wife. Oh, he did shoot her, but he did not kill her. And this was like huge news on the in the Scientology critic front. In a normal community, this is considered, murder suicides. It's obviously like a mental illness type issue. But in the ex-Scientology community, they do not believe in mental health or mental illness. There's no such thing
True.
as depression. There's no such thing as mental illness in Scientology. They just don't believe in it. I was his friend. I was his friend, and I was Ginger's friend. Chris Elston has never met me. He's never met Arnie. Never met Ginger. His two little cronies that are going to probably follow this video, they've never met me. They've never met Arnie or Ginger either.
They followed me also.
Yeah,
Just wanna
they've never met any of us. And they went as far as, and I think this is absolutely disgusting, they set up fake accounts, fake profiles using my name, going on different forums, attacking Ginger, acting like it's me, like insulting her and calling her all these names, which I would never do in a million
Wow.
years. And that's the mentality that Chris Elston is, what him and his female friends have. And it was
That's
absolutely sickening.
crazy.
So if you see him saying like, oh, this is the same girl that's defending a murder. No, I did not defend a murder. What I did was understand the situation, and I understand that if you spend 30 plus years in Scientology, you're obviously kind of screwed up in the head mentally.
I mean, and that's such a Scientology thing for Chris to do, to say you literally defended a murderer. Well, I mean, you're not actually taking into account the full circumstances, are you? You're taking something out of context, twisting it to mean the worst possible thing it can mean, and then putting it out there as though it's true. Yeah, similar thing happened with me too. It used to be like there are still people who have fake accounts of me to this day. Yeah, people create fake accounts of me all the time.
Chris Elston spent 2 years in Scientology, and he's kind of a basket case, which is another thing people need to be aware of. He joined Scientology as an adult. He was 20 years old, and he joined the Sea Organization, the Free Winds boat in Clearwater, Florida.
He was in
I think
Clearwater.
he was raised from a Christian upbringing.
Yo.
For whatever God knows reason, at 20 years old, he's like, I want to be a Scientologist and join the Sea Org. Only he knows the answer to that. But he did that for 2 years. And I don't really have a lot of sympathy for adults that decide to do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Big time. Yes. They know each other. 100%.
He set up a GoFundMe for this woman named Ginger that was Arnie's wife. He set up this GoFundMe for her at her most weakest, most vulnerable moment. She just got shot by her husband. And he uses that as something to hold against me, because I was friends with both Arnie and Ginger. I was personal friends with them. As in, I've met them both live in the flesh. He has never met any of us. And so he uses that as a way to discredit me, because he says that I am defending Arnie. He's like, well, she defended a man that tried killing his wife. And I'm like, dude, I'm not defending a man that tried killing his wife. I am defending both of them, and I'm showing empathy and compassion to the both of them for the struggles that they have faced, their mental health struggles and their physical struggles, which is what most normal people do. And that's why it makes me mad when I speak up against him, and that is the thing he can think of to say about me is like, oh, that's the same woman that defended a man that tried killing his wife. And I'm just like, no, asshole, I didn't do that at all. I was friends with both of those people, and it was a very tragic, unfortunate situation. And Chris Elston, if you were a normal, like, human being with an ounce of empathy and understanding in your pea brain, you would understand that yourself. You wouldn't be insulting me and using that as a attack mechanism,
Very true.
he can kind of sense like weakness with women. And he can tell women that are afraid, that women that don't at least tell him to fuck off once, he will keep going after them and after them. There was like a coach from Canada. I don't know if you saw this. Somebody sent me the screenshots on Twitter, but she's a coach, a professional coach for female athletes, and she had Chris Elston's back 100%. And simply because she did not defend him or do something that he ordered her to do, he went after her and he commanded all of his male followers to attack her.
Wow.
I don't know. Their name's like Linda, Coach Blade.
Linda Blade, right?
Oh, I think I know who
Yeah,
that
Yes.
is.
okay, yeah, I have her. Yeah.
And I saw her, like, I was surprised because she was one of his most staunch supporters. And she was very classy towards him, but he was attacking her. He's like, "You disgust me." I mean, you could go back and like see, like, it was so foul what he did. And he was sending his, because there are some men that support Chris, that, and he uses, I see him use, like, I don't even want to say it, but he uses certain people to target who he hates. And he was, sending his little lap dogs out to attack Coach Linda Blade. And I felt bad because she's a very classy woman, and she believes in the same thing that he does, the same message. But he went after her, and he basically told her that she is a piece of crap and she amounts to nothing, simply because she would not fight for him. Because you could tell she does not have a confrontational personality. And she wanted no part of it. She's like, "I'm not going to fight. I am not a fighter. I'm not going to do this. I wish you the best of luck." And it's really heartbreaking to see what he would do to someone like, a woman that's, I don't consider 60, it's not that she's elderly, but, it's like you respect people that are a little bit older than you, that have been around the block and have done things. And he completely treated her like a piece of crap. And it was so uncalled for what he did.
What set him off?
He got mad at someone. I think it was a feminist. I don't know her name.
That would be so unusual of him.
Of course, it was a feminist, as always. It was a feminist that he didn't like. And Coach Blade is friends with this particular feminist. And she refused to take a side. She's like, I'm not getting involved in this. She's like, "I respect both of you." She told Chris, I saw her Twitter thing about it. She's like, "Chris, I respect the work you've done, and I respect the work that she's done. I am not going to take a side in this." And he's like, "Oh, you're not going to take a side because you're a woman and blah, blah, blah." And he's like, you are a piece of crap. And he basically called her like a spineless coward. But he kept dogpiling her. So I noticed, like, if you fight back with him, he kept.
I know yesterday I was feeling pretty down because I was like, I don't know if people respect what I do at all. And part of the reason for that is I constantly have to deal with bullshit from exactly the crowd that Billboard Chris is in. I constantly have to deal with bullshit from them. And it's like, they don't actually look at what you're doing. They don't care about what you're doing. I've been trying to tell people like this for years. It's like, these people are not real. They don't care about these issues. People are like, "Carlin, why don't you reach out to them? You just don't play nicely, Carlin. No one likes you because you're so mean." I'm like, do you understand? These people don't fucking care about these issues. What do you want me to do about it? There's nothing I can do about it except call it out and say, there's no point in communicating with this person because they don't care. And they prove that with their behavior over and over and over again. And then inevitably, yes. Well, so basically he called this person, he called me the worst person on the planet. He also called her the worst person on the planet. Apparently he calls everyone the worst person on the planet. But it's like the larger point I want to make is like, What they have isn't real. What Billboard Chris has is not fucking real. What James Lindsay has isn't real. It's all manufactured bullshit, and the only people that follow them are people that only on a very surface level care about this, but really just more want to be involved in Republican politics, and they want their image and their branding, and they want to go to all the conservative events, and they want to get dressed up and be known in Republican politics, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's all fake. It's all fake, and it's all fake, and it's all gay. All of it.
Understand. He does not like it at all. And he will not involve himself in it. So, and he's probably gonna come after me again, and he's gonna do what he always does. He's easy as hell to predict. He's gonna tag the email, the so-called death threat email, and he's gonna be like, "This is Marisa Sigmund," even though my name is nowhere to be seen on this email. He's gonna do that, or he's gonna say, "Oh, this is Marisa Sigmund, the girl that defended a murderer." One of those two things.
Yeah, he's gonna say it's liable. That's what he says to everybody. Anyone who criticizes it.
When social media people, hang on. Yeah, he does. He literally, when social media people say they're friends, what they mean is, we once got together at a social thing to take a picture for social media, and we all hugged each other, and we all smiled and said, "Hey," and then we took a picture and we posted it on social media because we're best friends. That's what social media people mean when they say friends. I can't tell you how many people have said they were friends with me on social media that I literally never talked to. We were such good friends, and then she just turned her back on us and betrayed us, and she just went on to all these other groups because she is a grifter. These are people I had at most a couple conversations with in my life. And then all of a sudden, we were best friends because we took a picture one time at a social media event, and we all went, "Hey," and we did our picture, and the picture went out on social media. OMG, like, same, bestie. Oh my God. So fetch. Yeah. Like acquaintances at best. But they say you're friends, and then if you go against them, they're like, "No, she was the worst friend." Such
Any criticism
bullshit.
of Chris
Fake
is liable.
and gay.
I will put on screen this death threat that he likes to go around saying you sent him. It's like the most generic, stupid.
Okay, what does this actually say? First of all, it doesn't actually have her name in it. It doesn't have her email address in it. It doesn't have any proof it came from her. So that's telling, isn't it? Greetings, Chris. It has come to our attention that you are involving yourself in situations above your realm. Such a naive man like yourself should stay out of such matters. We know what your wife and daughters are doing at all times. Such a family man. Are you a? You have a beautiful family. It'd be a shame if your daughters had to wake up without a father someday, perhaps very soon, wishing you health and prosperity. Okay, I disavow that email. I don't think that email should have been sent. I don't agree with that email. Don't ever do that shit. That's wrong. But it doesn't have her name on it. Where's the proof that this actually came from her? I've gotten so many emails like this. I've gotten much worse emails than this.
Thing ever. He's like, yeah, she's just mad that the FBI contacted her. I'm like, the FBI just contacted her, did they?
And he says, it's so funny. Yeah, I'll wait for you to post. Oh gosh, you have it. That's hilarious. He knows nothing about like American law, like the U.S. law. I just don't understand how people follow him and think what he's doing is admirable. And like I said, it's not his message that I have a problem with. It's him. I mean, he used to like say these like shitty, like little racist comments to me.
Really?
Because I am like half Mexican, so you call me a Latina. You're like, okay, you Latina from the hood, and I'm like,
oh,
okay, whatever, dude. But
wait, Scientologist brings out weirdos. Evidence number 1, me. I could have very easily gotten in a fight this weekend. Well, with my wee one who is chill. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Young brown guys are punks. Call me a racist, I don't care. They're punk. Yo! I gotta take a screenshot of this. Hang on. Hang on.
I'm a Latina. You're like, okay, you Latina from the hood. And I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. But he's just garbage, and I think it's great that you're exposing him for who he is. He needs to be exposed for who he is. And he has a lengthy history of doing this. He has a lengthy history of going after women. He's not the knight in shining armor that a lot of them think that he is. But I do want to tell specifically, any woman that's out there that's been affected by him, and if he's harassing you, feel free to message me. And I mean, I support any woman that he has gone after. He's gone after me.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will message you.
Like,
Maybe
it's not a good
I
feeling having
will.
a deranged
Maybe
stalk you for 3 years.
Now, I haven't been stalked by Billboard Chris, but again, I know for an absolute fact that before I even was paying attention to Billboard Chris, he was running around telling people I was insane. So maybe I will reach out to her. Maybe we will have a conversation. He wants to talk shit about me online. I can play this game.
And it can be intimidating, but at the same time, women have a voice, and you can fight back and tell him where to go shove it. And when you do that, he usually will take a hike. And he's a little bit unhinged right now because, unfortunately, the feminist movement or whatever movement it is that's giving him the power to do this, they're feeding his ego, and that's what this is about. The guy is a grifter, so when you see people accusing him of that, he is a complete grifter. I know there's different definitions of like feminism, but I completely support women that are affected by this asshole and any like male predator that does stupid things like this.
Well, yeah,
I support them 100%.
That's my whole purpose here. Is I'm not trying to be gossipy. I mean, there are people who speak on this issue who I really don't like. Like, I really, really dislike them, and I know there's no need to name any Benjamin Boyce.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Seriously? This guy doesn't like Benjamin Boyce? I used to love Benjamin Boyce. And then Benjamin Boyce decided to spread a smear campaign about me that was years old, that had actually been deleted. He spread a video that had actually been deleted by the original person who made the video, because the original person who made the video discovered that the video was bullshit. And so they deleted the original video. Benjamin Boyce went and found a re-upload of the video and decided to share it on a thread that Frank McCormick posted, where he was spewing all this bullshit about me. And then, and do you guys remember, like, so many of you went into Benjamin Boyce's replies and you were like, what the fuck is this, asshole? We liked you. We never said anything bad about you, and here you are spreading a bullshit smear campaign. And of course, Benjamin Boyce never acknowledged it, never apologized for it, will not retract it, just deleted it and pretended it didn't happen because he is an intellectually dishonest dickwad. And you know what? You can't deny his stuff on the Evergreen State College stuff. He did really good there, but he is not a good person. He is not an intellectually honest person at all. Another person who seems like it kind of just wanted to be famous and just wanted to be on the internet and is willing to say or do anything to be famous on the internet. How sad. Another disappointment. And I still message Benjamin Boyce. I still send Benjamin Boyce clips and stuff when we find clips of leftists. Last week, I think I messaged him the Winooski School District socialists. And I said, Benjamin, I'm literally just sending it to you so I can tell people that I sent it to you, so that when you do nothing with it, it will prove us right, that we know exactly who you are. And we see you, bro, and we know you're a fraud. I wasn't quite that mean, but that's what I basically said. So I was like, I'm literally just sending this to you, Benjamin, to say that I sent it to you when people ask me about it later, when you don't share it. And then people go, why wouldn't Benjamin share that? That's right up his alley. And I'm like, well, because he's an intellectually dishonest fraud that never does this. And do you want receipts of me sending him all this stuff, proving that he doesn't care about it? Proving he never cared about the topic? Proving he had no fucking intellectual interest? Uh-huh. Okay.
That's my whole purpose here. Is I'm not trying to be gossipy. I mean, there are people who speak on this issue who I really don't like. Like, I really dislike them, and I know there's no need to name any Benjamin Boyce. But I don't care that they're there. You know, I'm sure there are people who fucking don't like me. You know. Whenever I see somebody who's above scrutiny, however, whenever I hear somebody saying any version of like the problem is everyone except me, and that would be his I've been getting mistreated since day one comment. When I see that, that's when my antennas go up. You know, there's kind of this like idea within the gender critical movement, whatever. I don't even like calling it that at this point. It's just reality versus bullshit. But there's sort of this idea that we kind of link arms with anyone. Like, we can, you know, disagree on everything else, but just join forces in defeating this one monster, and then we can go back to screaming at each other about everything. Given the severity of the issue, I do generally agree that it's best to just put politics aside. It's best to put personalities aside. Like, you know, like Walsh, like we talked about him earlier. I think the dude's a dick. But we all kind of know he's a dick. You know, it's like we all know where we stand with Walsh. We can dismiss him on everything except this issue. I don't see how it's productive to invite Dracula into the house because he said the password. You know, I'm afraid I draw the line when someone's just straight up acting like a predator. You know?
I want people to know the past. And he didn't just pop out of nowhere and decide to be like, hey, I want to be a gender critical activist guy. His past was actually spent harassing women who are victims of cults. That's how he began his whole thing back in 2017, is harassing women who were manipulated and abused by cult like Scientology, Mormonism, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he used to joke around to us and say, you know what, I'm going to be your cult leader. That's my goal. My goal is to be a cult leader of women. And he would say it sarcastically, but I honestly think I really think that's what he wants to do.
He acts like the Troons do.
All right, I'll see you soon.
All right, see you in a second.
What's that? What's that?
Is that it? At the end of that video? All right. Well, that was a good first video. Now we want to move over to the next one. And the next one I think might be the same woman. But now she's on growing up in Scientology. Let's listen.
Alston got retweeted by Elon Musk.
Yeah, I've seen his whole transformation, and it's been extremely bizarre to watch because Chris Elston is the poster boy of a fanatically, delusionally obsessed Scientology watcher. And I know he was in Sea Org for 2 years. That's his whole story. But when he first came onto the scene, I remember he would create these private Facebook groups with nothing but women. So like me, Melissa Paris, other chicks, and then he's the only guy. And this is why I made a video recently of how to tell when people are full of shit. Is like he was so overzealous and hyper vigilant and like up our ass constantly. I mean, Chris Elston would message me, DM me probably 24 hours a day. Like, what do you think about this person? What do you think about this person? What do you know about this? What do you know about that? And he seemed nice in the beginning, but then I saw him do his whole attempted takedown of you and your aftermath forum, where he spent, I don't know how long it took, but he took all 10,000 of your members and then created it like it was his group.
Chris Elston is now known as Billboard Chris, and he does a bunch of anti-trans activism. And
oh gosh.
And I have spoken with people who have hosted Chris Elston on their podcast, and he said he did not want anyone to know that he used to be a Scientologist and he used to be a Sea Org member. And I swear to God, when I saw Chris Elston, ex-Sea Org member Chris Elston, being retweeted by Elon Musk, I was like, we must be living in the Matrix. I can't even believe this is happening right now.
Well, this is what happened. And I saw, and I actually, I didn't even know, because just like there's a Scientology activist group or anti-Scientology, there's like a gender, I don't know what they call it. It's like the gender activist group. And some of them are for pro-trans and some of them are anti-trans. Well, Chris Elston got involved in the anti-trans activist portion. And what is interesting is he has 2 daughters. Neither of his daughters are LGBT anything. He's married, and maybe they're divorced now. I don't know, but he couldn't make a name for himself in the anti-Scientology community. And I remember Leah Remini, I think she finally blocked.
They're divorced now. Perhaps that has to do with the fact that Chris is not in his own country, running around America with a fucking billboard to be famous, instigating bullshit on the street to create viral videos so he can chase clout on the internet, and it seems as though in the process he accidentally left his wife and kids. It's a real good conservative influencer, guys. Great, just top notch.
Blocked him, and literally the day that she blocked him, the next day I see him tweeting JK Rowling stuff like, I love J, you know.
Wow.
She got, you know, there was a controversy with her being anti-trans as well. And so Chris,
every time with these people,
I always want to say Shelton, but Elston.
Yeah, we're not talking about Chris Shelton. That's what makes this even funnier. Is this is
Elston. Their names are similar. The next day, I'm not kidding, he literally was like, oh, so I can't be a famous Scientology activist. I'm going to go into this gender activist movement. And he began doing that. And I can't believe how, because if you just look at the guy and listen to him, he looks like a neurotic nut job. And he started doing his Billboard Chris thing. And he set up a website for donations so that he can travel around the world and act like he's protesting anti-trans medicine for kids, where I'm like, dude, you should be home with your 2 daughters. Your 2 daughters that are not even trans, and the trans debate does not even pertain to him at all.
Here we go. This is an ex-Sea Org member. Billboard Chris is an ex-Sea Org member, ex-Scientologist, and was one of the first people in the post-aftermath Scientology movement to actively try to censor and divide people. I think that's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he really was. And
exactly what he did in the so-called anti-woke movement. It's exactly the same fucking story.
Oh my God. I have so many screenshots saved from him over the years, probably like 1,000 of them, because he was messaging me. I'm not joking, like 24 hours a day trying to ask me questions. And then he would go to me and he would say like, hey, do you know Karen De La Carrier is saying this about you? And then he would go to Karen and be like, do you know Maurice is saying? And then he'd go to everyone. And so I kind of knew. I'm like, Chris, if you're doing this to me, you're telling my information to everyone else.
Yup.
I'm not stupid. And it's
True.
obvious that you are just running around to everyone, spreading bullshit to
True.
create conflict. And I'm like, please leave.
This is why anytime someone proactively comes to you and tries to start drama, you've got to be suspicious. Real people don't do this shit. They just don't. The only people who do this shit where they go around, they're like, did you know so-and-so such and such? And don't you think it's crazy that so-and-so such and such? And don't you think that this is just awful? And look at this screenshot that was taken out of context. And look at this, and look at this other thing. And did you hear this? Like, those are always the people that are trying to cause the problems. Always.
Leave me alone. And he got mad at me for doing that. And I know what he did. He actually, oh my God. He posted a Twitter. He emailed himself a death threat. This is what happened. Like, he emailed himself a death.
He emailed himself the death threat so that he could then take a screenshot of the death threat and say that she was the one who sent it. Wow.
Threat from an anonymous account, and then he posted it on his Twitter and said it was from me. He's like, look at this death threat that Marisa Sigmund sent me. And I'm looking at it. You don't see my name. And the email address is like this weird.
Listen, man, I really hope that Elon Musk figures this shit out at some point because, you know, I understand the journey Elon Musk is on because he's taking a very similar journey to red pilling that I took when I left the Democrats and woke up to all this bullshit back in like 2019, 2020. And like, you know, when you first wake up, you get thrown into a very specific space and you get surrounded by very specific types of influencers and you have no reason to doubt those influencers. You have no reason to be mistrustful. And then over time you realize that it's all fake and gay and it's all contrived and it's just as bad as the left. It's not better. It's just a different brand of fucking evil. And you start to see, okay, that's real, that's real, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. Right now, Elon Musk is surrounding himself with people who are not real. They're not authentic. They're paid just like everyone else is. He doesn't realize this yet because he has no reason to question them yet because he is comparing them to the left, which he believes is crazy. He doesn't know how crazy the left is, but he's correct that they're crazy on some level. And he's saying, these people seem so much more sane. Well, eventually he's going to start to see through that and he's going to start questioning the people that are around him now. And he's going to start realizing, if he's as smart as I think he is, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was either.
Thing. And he kept retweeting this to the Canadian police like 500 times a day. It's like, please look into this. I'm getting death threats. And the Canadian police actually contacted the FBI here in Arizona. And I had an FBI agent call me. I made a video about this. An FBI agent was like, this is Agent Bloppity Blob from the Arizona FBI. And he's like, do you know a guy named...
Fucking kidding me.
No, I'm dead serious. He's like, do you know someone by the name of Chris Elston? And I started laughing and I was like, yes, I do. And I know exactly why you're calling me.
Wow.
And this FBI agent said, okay. He's like, I just want to get this shit off my desk. He's like, I don't know why the Canadian police are contacting me because, you know, again, this is back in like 2017, I believe.
Yeah.
So there was like ISIS and all these drug cartel situations that our FBI was focused on. And he's like, I'm an FBI agent. He's like, my job is supposed to be hunting down ISIS and the Sinaloa cartel, not dealing with middle-aged Canadian men that are upset on the internet.
Yeah, for real.
He's like, so it's up to you.
By the way, this is exactly the same thing that happened when James Lindsay reported me to the police for... I fucking can't even believe that James did that. Can we just remember back a couple weeks ago to when we learned that James Lindsay literally called the cops because he was pissed off that we were watching his streams and asking him questions? And I promise you, when James reported me to the cops, that's exactly the same talk he got. That's exactly what the cops said. They were like, why the fuck are we dealing with your bullshit on the internet? And then James, oh, well, no, they didn't call me. No. James talked about it. Remember, James talked about how he reported me to the cops, and the cops assured him that the reason YouTube hasn't banned me is because I'm really an undercover Fed. That's not what happened, by the way. What happened is the cops said, we can't do anything about your internet drama, asshole. And then they talk shit about him behind his back.
If you want to come down to the office, he's like, you don't have to. I just needed to talk to you. And I'm like, well, am I in trouble? And he's like, if you were in trouble, I wouldn't be calling you. He's like, we would be knocking on your door.
Yeah.
So
amazing. You know,
the FBI office is, but I went to the FBI office because it's only like 5 minutes away from me. And I've always like, how often do you get an invitation to go see the FBI and like not be in trouble? So I went. I'm like, dude, I just want to check out the office and see.
By the way, don't ever do that. Don't ever fucking believe this is the one thing I learned from being interviewed by the FBI. James likes to tell people I wasn't interviewed by the FBI, but I was interviewed by the FBI, and I had to hire a lawyer for $2,000 to have a 15-minute fucking conversation with the FBI over January 6th. Anyway, don't ever believe the FBI if they call you and say, you're not in trouble, but just come into the office and they're not going to tell you not to bring a lawyer, but this is not a fucking field trip. You're going to talk to the FBI. If the FBI call you and they want to talk to you, you hire a fucking lawyer. Even if they say, no, you're not in trouble. We just have a couple of questions for you. No, lawyer.
Like what an FBI building looks like. So I went and the FBI agent talked to me and he's like, yeah, we checked the IP address. It's not even from Arizona. And I said, well, what this boils down to is I'm like, have you ever heard of Scientology? My whole thing I asked. And the FBI agent said, isn't that the wacky UFO cult that Tom Cruise is a part of? And then he sort of laughed. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's it. But there's a lot more to it than that. And I tried explaining it to him, but this FBI agent, so when people talk about the FBI and Scientology, I just think our FBI does not care. And they look at it as a kooky, weird cult that they just don't really, they're adrenaline junkies. Like the guy told me, they want to fight ISIS and El Chapo and do adrenaline type things. But yeah, I talked to this FBI agent about Chris Elston, and it was like a 10-minute conversation. And he actually called the Canadian police and was like, please do not contact us for petty things like this. Cause this is not our job.
That is absolutely incredible. I want to show his Twitter again one more time. And you guys know that I stay away from politics hardcore on my channel. I do not mind saying that I do not personally think children should be put on puberty blockers. I'm not taking a hard stance on it. I'm just trying not to be a hypocrite here. But what I find objectionable here is that Chris has a worldwide platform now. He's being retweeted by the richest person in the world. And he's horribly afraid of anyone knowing that he used to be a Scientologist and he used to be a Sea Org member. So if you want to tweet at Billboard Chris, just tell him, hey, we know your secret, bro. We know you were a Scientologist. We know you're a secret asshole. We know you were a Sea Org member. We know you tried to censor Aaron in the fans of Leah Remini's Scientology in the Aftermath group, you piece of shit.
Really?
Well, and another thing is when people talk about how you can buy subscribers, he really...
Guys, everyone go and retweet my latest tweet. Hang on. Everyone go and retweet my latest tweet. Let me get it up. I'll give you the link. And I want you to tag Billboard Chris in it. And I want you to say, he's a Scientologist. Okay, so here's what we need to do. Here's the link. I'm putting it in the chat. And I need you to quote tweet that. I need you to retweet it. I need you to heart it. I need you to bookmark it. I need you to do all those things. Reply to it. Feed the algorithm. But what I really need you to do is quote tweet it and tag Billboard Chris and say, we know you were a Scientologist in the Sea Org at Billboard Chris. Don't put his handle first, because if you put the handle first, it's not going to show up to everyone. Or do a period in front of the handle if you put it first. say something. You can wordsmith it yourself. We know you were a Scientologist in the Sea Org at Billboard Chris. Thank you for your service. In the Sea Org, the Sea Organization. We know you were in the Sea Organization in Scientology, Billboard Chris. Sea Org. Yup.
I remember this. He had 200 followers at the time on Twitter, and I don't use Twitter. I think they're called followers on Twitter, but he had about 200, and Leah Remini kept ignoring him, and all of you from the Aftermath show kept ignoring him. And then I saw his replies and his tweets, and he's like, watch what I'm about to do. And he really did buy an app, and within the next 24 hours, he went up to like 60,000 followers. So he did.
Sea Org, guys. SEA as in the sea, the ocean. Org as in organization. The Sea Organization. The Sea Organization, or Sea Org, is the senior-most status of staff within the Church of Scientology network of corporations, but is not itself incorporated. Sea Org. Thank you.
By one of those.
Really?
So he went from like 200 to like 60,000 followers because of this booster app that he bought. But then when his gender trans campaign took off, and then he was on Tucker Carlson. He's been on Tucker Carlson.
Chris was on. Oh, I remember that.
He was on Tucker Carlson. So automatically, so that's why he has such a large following now. But I would say 60,000 at minimum are bots that he paid for during his wannabe Scientology activism days. And his whole thing, I mean, I'm looking at it as a daughter perspective. I'm like, dude, if I'm not trans or gay and my dad deserts me to go travel the world to talk about trans issues when that doesn't affect me at all, and he's leaving me and my mom behind so he can get a bunch of self-recognition, and because that's all he's about. I mean, I've known that's how he was in the anti-Scientology movement. If you want to talk about a narcissist, that guy is like a 5,000 megaton narcissist. And he's one of those people that will demand if you do something, he's like, you need to thank me. And the guy is just like a complete, one of the nuttiest people I've dealt with in my life in this movement would be him.
Yeah.
And it's all like very extreme. The people he's catering to are like hardcore extreme. I would say major evangelical right-wing Christian fundamentalist. That's his whole fan base. And
it's his whole career now. It's kind of interesting. It's amazing to see someone that we knew just a few years ago that was a guy that was just begging for attention on Facebook, and now he's got all the attention that Nick. he ever wanted. And I guess it's good work if you can get it. But yeah, like, you know, his family and children are at home while he's, you know, just traveling the world wearing a sign, just wearing a sign. That's why he's called Billboard Chris. He wears a billboard on himself that just, you know, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't even remember how I first became aware of it, but I was like, I mean, I don't know when I first became aware of like how high his profile had risen. It might have not have been until, you know, Elon Musk retweeted him that I was like, wait a second, hold on. Did Elon Musk just retweet Chris Elston? What's happening here?
Well, Chris was begging for Elon Musk to pay attention to him for a long time. And Chris is really persistent and annoying, and he will not stop until he gets that attention. And I remember when Elon kind of first recognized him, but I'm like, dude, this is like the wrong guy, even for people that are, I guess, into, the whole activist scene of puberty blockers. I'm like, this is not the right guy to be representing you, because he's a complete maniac. And
He's a maniac.
Again, I'm like,
And
man,
you'd never know. You'd never know until you got into his close inner circle what a maniac this guy is.
oh, his daughters are going to grow up and probably never want to talk to him, because I wouldn't. I'm like, wow, Dad, why are you leaving me to fight for something that doesn't even pertain to me or your family? And you're acting like you're this global crusader for something that I'm not even dealing with as your daughter. So I would be hurt, you know, because he did. He essentially left his wife and his 2 daughters to do this. That's all for self-recognition and fame. And I don't know how much money he's making, but there's a lot of dumb people in that circle where he's probably making a pretty penny, if I had to guess.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's a lot, man. Is there anything else? Did any other like fun videos pop up in this search? Oh, look. Billboard Chris, he is just fighting for children. He is just fighting for children. He's on the streets. He's just wearing a billboard. Looks like the same old stuff. Well, I have to say, that was a delightful stream. That was everything I wanted. That was way more juicy than I thought it was going to be, if I'm being very honest about it. I thought it was like going to be maybe a little bit gossipy. I didn't expect a full-on Billboard Chris is a narcissist who used to support trans kids and used to be an ex-Scientologist and wanted to be a really famous ex-Scientologist and was trying to get Leah Remini's attention to be a famous ex-Scientologist. And then Leah Remini got sick of his shit and she blocked him. And like literally the day that she blocked him, he switched over to being an anti-trans kid activist. And he just grifted his way into the conservative movement. Soon, Trendlin, soon. I promise. I promise. I was thinking about this earlier. I promise. Soon. That's really quite incredible. And he bought 60,000 followers at the very beginning. And he harasses women perpetually and has for years. Bruh. And he was a Scientologist in the Sea Org. In the fucking Sea Org. And it's obvious to anyone who has ever watched Scientology documentaries that he's using exactly the same Scientology tactics today. Conservatives sure know how to pick them, man. They do. They know how to pick them. But that is going to conclude our stream for the day. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I feel pretty good. I will be back tomorrow for Socialism Saturday, probably at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's all I have. And take care, everyone. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer. I'm not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that? is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.